Margaret had lived next door for 3 years, but she'd never really paid attention to the backyard beyond the fence. Until the day she heard it, a low, haunting whimper that seemed to echo from nowhere. She climbed onto her porch railing and peered over. What she saw would haunt her forever. In the center of the yard was a perfect circle, not of grass, not of flowers, of pure, compacted dirt. And sitting in that circle was the saddest sight she'd ever witnessed, a dog. Chained. His world measured exactly by the length of rusted metal wrapped around his neck. 7 years. That's how long neighbors later discovered he'd been trapped in this prison of his own making. 2,555 days of walking the same 8-foot radius. Over and over. His paws had worn the earth so smooth it looked like concrete. His spirit had been ground down just the same. The chain had rubbed his neck raw. Patches of fur had never grown back. His eyes held no hope. No spark. Just the hollow stare of an animal who had forgotten what freedom felt like. But Margaret saw something else in those eyes. Something that would change everything. This is the story of how one phone call shattered 7 years of silence. If you're finding value in this story, hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens when help finally arrives. But this story didn't begin with an adult dog chained to a tree. 7 years earlier, he was just a playful puppy, full of life, full of hope. A family brought him home. They promised to love him forever, but forever lasted exactly 6 months. When the puppy grew larger, when the novelty wore off, when responsibility became inconvenient, they chained him outside, and slowly, gradually, they forgot he existed. Days turned to months, months turned to years. Through scorching summers, he had no shade. Through freezing winters, no warmth. Thunderstorms crashed around him. He had nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. The psychological damage was devastating. His spirit began to break. He stopped barking, stopped hoping. He learned that no one was coming. For 7 endless years, he existed in this prison of neglect. Until one day, a phone call would change everything. The anonymous tip came on a Tuesday morning. Someone had finally seen enough. Animal Control Officer Sarah Martinez had seen countless cases. But nothing could prepare her for this. The property appeared abandoned, overgrown weeds, broken windows. Then she heard it, a low whimper from behind the house. The sound of pure desperation. What Sarah found defied belief. 7 years of suffering in a circle of dirt. But removing him wouldn't be simple. Legal barriers stood in the way. Property rights versus animal welfare. The law moved slowly while he suffered quickly. 3 days of paperwork. 3 more days of waiting. Still, the dog remained chained. Finally, the court order arrived. Sarah returned with bolt cutters and backup. The dog cowered as humans approached. 7 years had taught him to expect pain. Sarah knelt slowly. Spoke softly, the first kind words he'd heard in years. His tail gave the faintest wag. Trust beginning to flicker in those broken eyes. The bolt cutters closed around the chain. 7 years of imprisonment about to end. one decisive cut. The chain fell away. For the first time in 7 years, he was free. The veterinary examination revealed what 7 years of chains had stolen from him: muscle atrophy, malnutrition, psychological trauma that ran deeper than any physical wound. His legs trembled with each step. Years of confinement had robbed him of basic mobility. The shelter environment overwhelmed his senses. Every sound triggered panic. He pressed himself against the cold concrete wall. Safety meant staying small, staying hidden. Food bowls remained untouched. Trust was a foreign concept after 7 years of neglect. Then came Sarah, a volunteer who saw beyond the fear to the soul trapped inside. She visited daily, speaking softly, never rushing, building trust one moment at a time. His first steps outside the kennel were tentative. Each surface felt alien beneath his paws. Linoleum, rubber mats, concrete pathways. The world beyond dirt was vast and terrifying. Sarah noticed something others missed: a spark of intelligence flickering behind the trauma. She advocated for extended rehabilitation time. This dog deserved more than standard protocol. Weeks passed. Small victories emerged: a lifted head, a cautious sniff, progress measured in heartbeats. But the ultimate test awaited, something he hadn't felt in 7 long years. The moment of truth had arrived. After 7 years of nothing but dirt and chains, he was about to experience something miraculous. His first paw touched the grass. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever felt. He froze. 7 years of concrete and dirt hadn't prepared him for this softness beneath his feet. Then something incredible happened. His nose began to work. The scent of earth, of life, flooded his senses. For the first time in years, his tail gave the smallest twitch. Not fear, not pain, something else entirely. The rehabilitation team watched in silence. They knew they were witnessing a rebirth. Slowly, carefully, he took another step. Then another. Each footfall was a victory 7 years in the making. But the outside world brought overwhelming sensations. Birds chirping above made him flinch with every sound. The wind, rustling through leaves, sent him into a panic. Everything was too much, too fast, too new. That's when Sarah, his primary caretaker, did something that would change everything. She sat down in the grass beside him. She didn't reach out. She didn't speak. She simply existed in his space, showing him that grass could be safe. Minutes passed. Then, the impossible happened. He took a step toward her. Just one. But it was everything. For the first time in 7 years, he had chosen to move closer to a human. Trust was beginning to bloom. That single step on grass had 3 months after touching grass for the first time, everything was about to change again. A family of 4 walked into the rescue center. They weren't looking for just any dog. They were looking for a soul that needed saving. A second chance. A new beginning. The moment they saw him, they knew. This was their dog. This was his family. His new home had something he'd never experienced. A backyard. A real bed. Toys. But most importantly, it had love. Unconditional, patient, healing love. Watch what happened when he discovered his first tennis ball. 7 years of chains couldn't kill his spirit. The playfulness was still there, waiting. His transformation wasn't just physical. His eyes began to sparkle again. He learned to trust completely, to love without fear, to live without limits. His story spread across social media. Millions watched his journey from chains to freedom. He became a symbol, proof that no matter how dark the past, hope survives. Today, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. He's teaching us all about resilience, from a circle of dirt to endless grass, from chains to complete freedom. His new beginning proves that every soul deserves a second chance. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe for more.